Why do some grown men pursue teen girls? If you've ever felt that twist in your stomach seeing it happen, maybe online, maybe in your own circle, you're not crazy for feeling that way. Today I want to talk to you gently and honestly about why this grooming pattern shows up, how it actually works, and how you can protect yourself or someone you love without losing your mind in the process. Because let's be completely honest, grown men dating teenage girls is just gross. What age gap do you think is acceptable? Because we want to know. Now let's start with something real. Chemistry can be very loud when you're young. When someone new pays attention to you, especially in a way you haven't felt before, your brain can light up like a festival. There's a name for that sparkly, floaty high, limerence, and it feels intoxicating. That feeling is human. It's not your fault for enjoying it. Where it becomes unfair is when a much older person learns how to press those buttons. Faster gestures, future talk, you're different from everyone else, and rushes you into intensity that hasn't had time to become something deeper or safer. Fireworks are beautiful, but they're not the same thing as a home you can live in. And then there's the part most people skip because it's uncomfortable: power. Legal and ethical are not synonyms, and consent without context isn't actually consent. A teenager and a 30-something are not walking into the same conversation with the same bargaining power or life reps. One person is still figuring out who they are and how to hold a boundary. The other has years of practice negotiating work, housing, relationships, and consequences. When someone chooses a dynamic that tilts toward their advantage, that's not romance, it's convenience. You've probably heard the line 100 times. She's just mature for her age. I know why that sounds flattering, especially if you've always been told you're wise, old soul, or independent. But in practice, that phrase often means, I think you'll be easier to impress, quicker to forgive, and less likely to challenge me. Real maturity isn't just deep conversation at 2 a.m. It's being able to hold your ground kindly, to slow things down when it's rushing, and to separate big feelings from good decisions. If someone praises your maturity but punishes your boundaries, they didn't mean maturity, they meant pliability. There's a very common playbook that turns up in these situations, and I want you to have language for it so you can recognise it in the wild. It often starts with fast forwarding. Things feel like they're moving, meant to be fast. Lavish compliments, big future talk, sometimes gifts, so that saying, this is too quick, becomes harder. Then there's mirroring. Everything you like suddenly becomes their favourite thing too. It can feel magical, like you finally found someone who gets you, but often it's just a quick way to earn trust before they've earned it. Light isolation tends to follow. More nights, just us. Subtle digs at friends or family who don't understand us. And gradually the circle that would normally reality check the situation gets smaller. And when you try to slow down, you may hear some version of, if you cared, you wouldn't need space, which is just a softer way of punishing a healthy no. None of this means you're naive. It means the other person is using a very rehearsed sequence. Naming it is power. I also want to acknowledge something you might be feeling. It's frustrating when people excuse these pairings with, that's just how it used to be, or different cultures do it. History and loopholes don't erase impact. Many people who went through this look back years later and say, I didn't even realise I was allowed to feel confused or pressured or sad at the time. It's okay if your feelings arrive late. It's okay if at 16 something felt exciting, and at 26 it makes you ache. That doesn't mean you're ungrateful or dramatic. It means your brain and body are catching up to what mattered. Why do some men actually do this? I'm not here to diagnose strangers, but patterns do show up. For some it's ego fuel. Being someone's first big love can feel powerful, and power can be addictive. For others, it's about control. Less pushback, fewer boundaries, more adoration without having to grow. Novelty is a factor too. Newness can be a way to avoid real intimacy, because intimacy requires accountability. There's also status, being able to say, look who I can pull in front of friends, which is about performance, not partnership. And sometimes it's avoidance. Dating equals means you have to tolerate no. Negotiate fairly and examine your own patterns. If that's hard, picking an imbalance can feel easier. None of these are excuses, they're explanations that help you see you are never the problem. So how do you protect yourself without becoming suspicious of everyone? Start by honouring your own pace. If something feels like a sprint, you're allowed to walk. You don't owe anyone access to your time, your body, or your private thoughts, just because they made you feel special. You can like the attention and still say, I'm not ready to make adult decisions with adult consequences. If this is real, it will still be here when I'm ready. If someone truly respects your maturity, they will respect your boundary. If you're watching someone you love drift into a situation like this, you don't have to choose between silence and a fight. Try curiosity first. What do you love about how they make you feel? Often opens more than, you're making a mistake. Then gently add a mirror. I hear you. I also notice things are moving really fast, and it worries me that your circle is shrinking. Can we slow this down together so it has a chance to be healthy? People protect what they help build. Giving them some authorship in the boundary will usually land better than a lecture. If you're dating men and you want to vet without feeling like an interrogator, ask simple questions early when you're calm. At your age, what's the youngest you'd date and why? How do you feel about big age gaps when one person is still a teen? Whose relationship opinions do you actually respect? You're not looking for perfect answers, you're listening for empathy and ethics. If you hear legal is legal, or blanket contempt like women my age are bitter, or the flattery trap of you're not like other girls, treat that as information. You don't have to argue. You can just opt out. Parents and caregivers, shame will shut the door faster than any predator ever could. If a teen trusts you enough to talk about attention they like or confusion they feel, that is a gift. Protect it. You can say, I won't punish you for wanting closeness. I'm going to help you spot manipulation so you can keep your choices safe. Also, make it a family norm that adults don't ask teens for secrets. If an older person wants private access, the household gets transparency. That's not paranoia, it's prevention. Communities have a role too. We can choose to praise boundaries instead of bragging rights. We can talk openly about the tricks, future faking, mirroring, light isolation, so that kids recognise them on contact. And we can hold our own people accountable in ways that fit. Sometimes that means distance, sometimes it means honest conversations plus clear consequences. Sometimes it means professional help. Accountability doesn't mean eternal exile. It means clear changes we can actually see. As you're listening, you might be scanning your own history and wondering, did I miss something? If that's coming up, please hear this. Looking back with kinder eyes doesn't rewrite the past, but it does change your future. You're allowed to protect yourself now in ways you didn't know how to then. Here's a quick snapshot of red flags that, when clustered together, often signal a power story instead of a love story. Mature for her age, used to dismiss boundaries. Lots of future talk very early. Mirroring your tastes to build fast trust. More and more, just as time, while friends and family become negative. Guilt or panic when you ask to slow down. It's legal, used to shut down a moral conversation. And contempt toward women their own age. Any one thing in isolation might be explainable. Several at once is a grooming pattern. Crushes are normal, chemistry is human, and wanting to be seen is one of the most beautiful parts of being alive. You don't have to become hard to become safe. You just need pace, power awareness, and people around you who can hold the mirror steady when your heart is loud. If someone truly wants partnership, equals exist. If someone keeps choosing teens, they're choosing imbalance, and you don't have to audition for that role. Do you think it's acceptable for grown men to date teen girls?